Chapter 71 Hidden Mission Completed. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Situ Quan said, "Since you are all gathered here, why don't we make a bet?" Feiyu came in front of Situ Quan, stretched out his hand, and patted Situ Quan like a tickle. "What are you betting on?" Situ Quan seemed not to be affected by Feiyu's little action at all, and his expression remained unchanged. "Let's bet on today's bet between Li Qingyun's disciples and my disciples of the soul-snatching sect." "Oh, interesting, interesting, how big is the bet?" Situ Quan stared at Feiyu and said, "If I lose, I promise not to face your Dihua sect opponent within 10 years, how about it?" "Are you serious?" Feiyu changed his smiling expression just now and asked. "Really? However, if you lose, you have to agree to one of my requests." "What request?" Feiyu and Situ Quan asked and answered. As if no one was around, Situ Quan looked at Li Qingyun and smiled. "The request is to kill Li Qingyun." "Well? Kill him?" Feiyu turned and looked at Li Qingyun, cracking his mouth and revealing a somewhat foolish but cruel smile. "Is it that simple?" Situ Quan said, "It's that simple." A strong wind burst out, and a big hand made of spiritual power appeared, directly from top to bottom, with endless power, grabbed Li Qingyun. Feiyu actually attacked Li Qingyun directly. "Isn't it easy to kill this kid? I'll catch him first, and you can do anything with him later." Feiyu laughed. He actually completely ignored Li Qingyun and treated Li Qingyun as something he could manipulate at will. Catch if he said, kill if he said. Li Qingyun suppressed the anger in his heart. He knew very well that his current strength was not good. Although he could compete with the Jindan cultivator, he must not confront these two cultivators who were about to break through the heaven. Boom! The expected scene of being grabbed did not happen. Was Feiyu's attack resolved? This young friend Li Qingyun is Lu's apprentice. You two want to take him down in front of Lu. You are underestimating me, right? It was Master Lu who helped Li Qingyun. Li Qingyun looked at Master Lu. At this time, Master Lu's breath was a little unstable. Obviously, with his strength, it was very difficult for him to even stop Feiyu's attack once. "Master Lu," Feiyu said with a smile, "Dihua sect will not fight here for the sake of your Tianji Pavilion branch, but it does not mean that we cannot do it. Now I can give you a favor and let this kid go. When the competition is over, with your cultivation in the early stage of the nascent soul, can you stop me from catching him?" At the end of the words, Feiyu's voice changed from the original giggling tone to a gloomy threat. Li Qingyun knew that the soul-snatching sect and the Dihua sect did not dare to provoke a giant like the Tianji Pavilion, but as long as they did not harm the real interests of the Tianji Pavilion, the Tianji Pavilion would not bother with them. Now Feiyu and Situ Quan wanted to target him, but as long as they did not hurt Master Lu, they would not really anger the Tianji Pavilion. Master Lu helped him and had already made enemies with these two people, which was a great price, and he could not make things difficult for him. Li Qingyun laughed loudly and said, "The competition is over. If my Qingshan Sect loses this game, I will naturally not resist and let Master Shi take me away without any complaints." "Yo. Feiyu said, "You are quite courageous, I don't want to kill you anymore." Li Qingyun had seen Shintubo's weird expression in the Ghost Sea Forest, which was twisted and weird, magical and varied, and even a little weird. When he saw Feiyu today, he actually felt that his performance was somewhat similar to Shintubo's. His expression was uncertain, and he spoke in a childlike tone, but with a cruel look in his eyes. Master Lu patted Li Qingyun on the shoulder and returned to the backstage with Li Qingyun. Feiyu returned with Situ Quan and sat in the first row of the audience. The competition was about to begin, 40-2, Sun Liang and Ping against 40 disciples of the soul-snatching sect. Sun Liang had been building his foundation for many days. Li Qingyun was ready to find a way to help Sun Liang build his foundation after this matter was over. Ping was at the peak of the 10th level of Qi training, and it would probably take him a while to build his foundation, with the abnormal talents of his two disciples, against the ordinary 40 outer disciples of soul snatching. Even if they didn't act, these 40 disciples were no match for Sun Liang and Ping. This was also the reason why Li Qingyun dared to arrange this 40-2 match. Once Sun Liang and Ping defeated 40 peers on the stage watched by hundreds of thousands of people, this shocking effect would definitely push the reputation of Qingshan Sect to a peak, but at this time, Li Qingyun took a look at the area where the 40 disciples were, and saw the 40 disciples, and there was a trace of confusion in his eyes, and it was weird. At the same time, the ghost spirit bead with 6 inscriptions in Li Qingyun's storage space vibrated wildly. This, Li Qingyun's face changed drastically. These 40 disciples were actually related to the ghost spirit bead. Situ Quan was so confident, it turned out that he had used a conspiracy. Master Lu saw that Li Qingyun looked ugly, so he said, "Don't be afraid, Taoist friend, I will protect you when the time comes." Who? Li Qingyun took a breath, thinking of the preparations he had made for the 2 disciples, and felt a little relieved. Even if the 2 disciples couldn't beat them, they could still admit defeat and they were safe. Master Lu said, "I came here today, not just to join in the fun." Li Qingyun remembered that Master Lu originally had something to say to him, but was interrupted by Situ Quan and others who suddenly came. He whispered, "Master Lu, please give me more advice." At the same time, he set up an isolation formation around him to prevent outsiders from hearing. Master Lu said, "Since you left, I have been looking for relevant information about the Xuanhuan pill and the ghost pearl, and even inquired about some of the predecessors. Finally, I learned some secrets. It is said that tens of thousands of years ago, there were powerful monks who liked to study ghosts, and these ghosts all came from the underworld. I don't know how these powerful monks caught the ghosts. But there is one thing, if ghosts want to survive, they need to be fed with special pills, and this Xuanhuan pill is the top pill that provides energy for ghosts. And this ghost pearl is a treasure like the inner pill of a monster, but only special ghosts have ghost pearls in their bodies. The function of the ghost pearl is to sense the breath of the underworld, guide, and connect." Hearing this, Li Qingyun's head boomed, and he recalled the secrets that Su Taihe told him after questioning Su Taihe yesterday. The soul-catching sect had a treasure that looked like a door a long time ago. Now it is in the hands of Situ Quan. I have only seen this door open once. At that time, Situ Quan asked me to help him make a formation that can both teleport and sense. I saw the door opened. I feel that the breath on the other side of the door seems to come from the netherworld. And Situ Quan told me that the thing on the other side of the door is called Ancestor. Ding, Hidden Mission, The Secret of the 10,000 Soul Pill, completed. Chapter 72, Rapid Increase in Strength. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ding, The Hidden Mission, The Secret of the 10,000 Soul Pills, is completed. Mission requirement, find out the secrets contained in the 10,000 soul pills. And attack the soul-capturing sect at the end of the mission. Completed. Mission rewards, Point 1, 3,000 talent points. Point 2. Hidden attributes are 5,000, and the hidden attributes are completely turned on. 3. Renovate a building. Note, this mission is a long-term mission and can be paralleled with other missions. It is recommended that the host accumulate strength before taking action against the soul capture sect. Google search reading, progress. Situ Quan has completely uncovered the secrets of the 10,000 soul pill and the ghost spirit pearl. Situ Quan has a treasure in the sect that is connected to the underworld. The treasure is the foundation of him and the soul-catching people, and is called the Ancestor. A powerful communication bridge between ghosts, but it requires traction and ghost energy replenishment to obtain the rewards of this ghost. He is looking for the ghost spirit pearl and the 10,000 soul pill, with the purpose of using the powerful power of the ghost spirit pearl and the 10,000 soul pill to raise ghosts and obtain the power feedback from the ghosts, to break through the heavenly beings. I didn't expect Situ Quan's plan to be like this. After summarizing all the clues and deducing the results, Li Qingyun was shocked by Situ Quan's conspiracy and froze in place, silent. Mission accomplished, completely open the hidden attribute system, the reputation system. Before the reputation system is activated, the host has already gained 15,800 reputation points. Li Qingyun thought to himself that it was indeed an attribute related to reputation. After completing systematic tasks, he found that hidden attributes would be added to any public-facing tasks. At that time, he speculated whether the hidden attributes were attributes related to reputation. Sure enough. Host qualifications, cultivation value, 499, foundation building perfection, spiritual roots, 6 spiritual roots, foundation building, super grade Dao foundation, Kung Fu, Qingyun Ju yellow level top rank, secret method, Huang Jie's top grade blue stone, first level of perfection, Huang Jie's top grade eclipse wave, small success, swordsmanship, mid-grade Xian level Yuelu swordsmanship. Introduction, realm of spiritual power takes form, genius points, 4700. Reputation. 15800 inch point 4700 genius points. Li Qingyun looked at Huang Quanzi, Feiyu, and Situ Quan sitting in the front row of the ring. Based on his observations and speculations, combined with many doubts, he knew that these 3 people would definitely have a fight today, so, with these 4700 genius points to enhance my strength, can I really gain some benefits in their struggle? Thinking of this, Li Qingyun cupped his fists towards Master Lu and said, Master Lu, please help me take good care of my disciples, and rescue them in critical moments. Thank you Qingyun, I'll come back soon. Master Lu nodded deeply to Li Qingyun. Li Qingyun arrived at the secret room of Tianji Pavilion at the fastest speed in his life. System, can these 4700 genius points help me break through to the perfect foundation? System, what kind of perfect foundation? Li Qingyun, the one that is stronger than the super-grade Dao foundation is the perfect Dao foundation. System, according to the calculations of this system, there are 2 types of Taoist foundations that are stronger than the super-grade Taoist foundations. One is the so-called perfect Taoist foundation that is popular in various continents. This is already the limit that human beings can reach. But from the perspective of this system, it's not perfect. Li Qingyun thought of a possibility. Could it be? System, this system has transformed this perfect Dao foundation and eliminated every flaw in it, making it truly perfect. Therefore, this Dao foundation is called by this system, flawless Dao foundation. Perfect Tao foundation can only be completed by super geniuses in Taoist sects with the help of treasures in Taoism. It is not an exaggeration to call them the proud ones of heaven. Once a disciple completes the perfect Tao foundation, basic, then it proves that he has laid the most solid foundation for practice. This is what the leader of a Taoist sect said, but today, the system actually said that there is a more perfect Daoji than the perfect Daoji. This is completely contrary to common sense. Li Qingyun asked, how many points are needed? System, perfect Daoji has 1600 genius points, flawless Daoji has 3200 talent points. 0.3200 points, Li Qingyun took a deep breath, made a choice, and said, I choose Wuxia Daoji. System, the upgrade to flawless Daoji will consume 3200 genius points. Should the host continue? Li Qingyun smiled and said, continue. Currently preparing. He chose to trust the system. After all, the system had been with him through thick and thin many times and had brought him changes beyond common sense. Although he didn't know where the system came from, the benefits it brought were genuine. As for what the Taoist level sect master said, he chose not to believe it, because, he felt that sooner or later he would be able to turn the Qingshan Sect into a Taoist level. By then, he would be the leader of the Taoist level sect, and by then he would be able to talk nonsense. The road base is being transformed. Li Qingyun, who was sitting cross-legged and meditating, felt a magical feeling that he had never experienced before enveloped his whole body. This feeling was different from the pain of being stripped away from his body when he remodeled the foundation, nor was it the increase in strength when his cultivation broke through. But a feeling of gradual completion. Li Qingyun closed his eyes tightly, and a gradually perfect aura appeared on his body, which actually had a solemn meaning of treasure. There were no outsiders in the secret room, but if other high-level cultivators saw it at this time, they would definitely exclaim. This state of cultivation is called Xuanhuan. Even a celestial cultivator may not encounter it once in his life. but every time he encounters Xuanhuan, it can bring unimaginable benefits to the cultivator. The Tao Foundation in Li Qingyun's body decomposed in an incredible way. The original 12 super-quality Tao Foundations were slightly shaken and turned into 16. Isn't this a perfect Tao Foundation? But then, the 16 Tao Foundations shook again and turned into 32 Tao Foundations. Li Qingyun was shocked and almost interrupted his cultivation. How? How come there are 32 Tao Foundations? I've never heard of it. Is there any malfunction? But the matter is not over yet. The 32 Tao bases actually shook again, became 36 Tao bases. System transformation completed. Li Qingyun swallowed his saliva. Did it damage my body? He hurriedly got up to check his body, skin, flesh, meridians, spiritual power running track. The spiritual power was running at an incredible speed, which was more than 10 times faster than when he was in the supergrade Tao base. The spiritual power reserves in his body were nearly dozens of times more than before, and the quality was also enhanced. Li Qingyun took out a spiritual stone from his hand and found that he absorbed the spiritual stone in an instant. This absorption speed, he felt comparable to that of a Yuanian cultivator, even better than a Yuanian cultivator. The flesh and blood had a stronger toughness, and the body seemed to be strengthened. Li Qingyun tried and gently hit the wall of the secret room, and a dent appeared on the wall. You know, the solidity of the wall of this secret room is equivalent to that of a medium-grade magic weapon. It seems that his body has also achieved a breakthrough like a rebirth. Post-qualification, cultivation value, 520, fake pill, spiritual roots, 6 spiritual roots, foundation, flawless Tao foundation, skills, yellow grade top grade Qingyun Ju. Secrets, yellow grade top grade Qingshan, first level perfection, yellow grade top grade erosion wave, minor success, swordsmanship, Xian grade middle grade Yuelu swordsmanship, introduction, spiritual power realm, subtle spiritual power, genius points, 1500. Reputation, 15800. I didn't expect that the spiritual power realm has also broken through. The cultivator's ability to control spiritual energy is divided into 4 levels: spiritual power externalization, spiritual power transformation, and spiritual power transformation. Previously, Li Qingyun mastered the spiritual power transformation with the foundation building cultivation, which had already surprised Xiongjianmu. Now, with the help of the flawless foundation, he has reached the level of spiritual power. I wonder what Xiongjianmu's expression will be when he hears this news. Using 3200 genius points, not only did he complete the flawless foundation, but he also strengthened his physical body and even broke through the spiritual power realm. It's not a loss. This time, it can be said that his strength has skyrocketed. Feeling the explosive power on his body, Li Qingyun clenched his fists. Now his strength can definitely do something between Situ Quan, Huang Quanzi, and Feiyu. Chapter 73. No Variables. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The competition has begun. Sun Liang and Ping'an are fighting against 40 disciples of the soul-capturing sect. At this time, Sun Liang and Ping'an had already realized that the situation was not good. Although the 40 disciples were taking turns to play, 2 at a time and 20 times, however, the strength of these people has collectively risen a lot compared to before. Now almost all of these 40 people are above the 11th level of Qi training, and their combat awareness has also reached a terrifying level. They seem to have suddenly changed. Sun Liang and Ping'an have defeated 3 groups of 6 people, but at this time, half of their spiritual power has been consumed, and their condition is no longer the same as when they were kidnapped. Personal appearance. The audience in the audience watched Sun Liang and Ping'an defeat 3 groups in a row, and the fighting was very exciting. They couldn't help but cheer again and again. The effect on the scene was excellent. Situ Quan, Feiyu, and Huang Quanzi were sitting under the ring with very serious expressions, as if they were watching the competition seriously, but in fact, they can actually guess the result of this kind of competition between Qi practitioners from the beginning, so they don't have to watch the competition seriously. They look serious on the surface, but in fact, they have evil intentions inside and don't know what they are thinking, Feiyu said. Hey, this pair of little guys, how can they consume so much with only 6 people? Calculating it this way, it is estimated that, with at most 15 people, these 2 people will almost lose. Even though Feiyu originally didn't have much emotion when he said these words, his face changed many expressions in a short period of time, which looked very strange. Situ Quan noticed Feiyu's expression, and a smile appeared on his lips unintentionally, and said, "These 2 boys cannot continue to fight hard. They may change their tactics or use other methods later. I presume they'll make it to the 20th. Feiyu smiled narrowly and said, "In any case, are you still losing to your soul-catching disciples? But once these 2 people win, the damage to the reputation of your soul-captor sect will be too great. After all, 2 versus 40, you soul-captors sect fell into the inferior position during the promotion." "Yes," said Huang Quanzi, who had been silent for a long time. "Among the public opinions in various big cities, the Qingshan Sect has a very high voice. This kind of propaganda method is very powerful and astonishing." Situ Quan looked at Huang Quanzi and said, "That's true. If I hadn't noticed it right away and responded, today's competition would have been 2 versus 40, and the Qingshan Sect would have won the competition. In this way, the soul-captivating sect would have won the competition. The prestige will be greatly reduced." Situ Quan stared at Huang Quanzi and said, "But today, Qingshan Sect will definitely lose the competition. In this case, your original arrangement must be in vain, right?" Huang Quanzi rolled his eyes at Situ Quan and said, "I have told you so many times that Qingshan Sect has nothing to do with me." Situ Quan ignored Huang Quanzi's argument at all. "I have to say that you are really clever in using the Qingshan Sect as a spearman, but this spear is going to be broken by me." Huang Quanzi sneered, "If you don't believe me, just don't regret it in the future." Situ Quan also smiled and said, "No matter what the facts are, I have dismantled your Xuanhuan alliance and captured you. I will win this competition. Not only will I avoid the loss of reputation, but it will also further enhance the reputation of my soul-capturing sect. What's the point of believing it or not? How could I regret it?" Huang Quanzi was silent. As old enemies, he and Situ Quan were actually old acquaintances, otherwise they wouldn't have talked so much just now. Although Situ Quan is a self-willed and self-reliant person, in many things, his starting point and purpose are always so strong that even if he doesn't care about the truth, as long as he proceeds from his own interests, he will never make a big mistake. Could it be that this is the strength of his character and the secret to his upcoming promotion to heaven? At this time, Huang Quanzi felt extremely depressed. He looked at the naughty Feiyu beside him. Dihua sect was originally the leading sect of Dihua Mansion. Feiyu was originally a calm, steady and thoughtful new generation sect leader. But starting from 10 years ago, Feiyu, after turning into this moody naughty boy, the Dihua sect gradually declined. The Xuanhuan sect and the Xiaoyao sect also suffered some changes, and their development was not smooth. The Qingshan sect, which was originally vigorous, was almost abolished. However, the soul-capturing sect has grown in recent years and has become the strongest sect in the Dihua Mansion. Now that they have reached the 4-star sect, the Dihua sect will look at the soul-calling sect's expression. Now the Xuanhuan alliance has also disbanded, and the Xiaoyao sect has been restricted to death. After Situ Quan takes action against the Dihua sect, the entire Dihua Mansion will be ruled by the soul-capturing sect. It seems that Situ Quan will finally unify the Dihua Mansion sect. According to his guess, Feiyu became stupid, and the changes that happened to the other 3 sects in recent years were probably caused by Situ Quan secretly. Suddenly, Huang Quanzi felt a strong spatial fluctuation in the distance. His expression changed drastically. He looked at Feiyu and his eyes widened. Could it be? He recognized this kind of fluctuation. This spatial fluctuation was the effect of the teleportation array. Could it be that Situ Quan led Feiyu here because he wanted to deal with the Dihua sect the same way he dealt with the Xuanhuan alliance? While Feiyu was not in the sect and the sect's formation was not controlled by powerful monks, he attacked the Dihua sect secretly. But then he became discouraged and launched a sneak attack. After the Dihua sect was gone, he could just be an elder with Situ Quan's subordinates. Is it possible that he could still stop Situ Quan? Sure, Feiyu was still watching the competition on the stage with interest. Even if I reminded him of this idiot, he might not understand. Everything was over. Is there any variable that could ruin Situ Quan's plan? There is no more. Can 1,600 points upgrade the Qingyun Ju from the upper grade of the yellow level to the Xian level? System, 2,000 points are needed. The host does not have enough genius points. Li Qingyun said, last time, it could be negative. Let's make it negative this time. System, unless there are special circumstances, the host cannot borrow genius points. Upgrade the Qingyun Ju, and my apprentice can also automatically comprehend the upgraded Qingyun Ju in his mind like me. System, the host's true disciples can synchronize the host's progress in the technique. Suddenly, the system was silent for a while. Yang Hai Aoshua sneaked into the gate of the soul-snatching sect, causing large-scale destruction, and rewarded the host with 2,500 genius points. Li Qingyun was shocked. I said why Yang Hai Aoshua didn't come back. He went to sneak attack the soul-snatching sect. Is this lady having a seizure or has she eaten a lot of poison? And she even succeeded in the sneak attack. Are the elders of the soul-snatching sect not here? The system even rewarded me with 2,000 genius points. Don't say it. What a lucky guy. Now I have 4,100 genius points. Li Qingyun smiled and said, upgrade both Qingyun Ju and Eclipse Wave to the Xian level. As a master, I have to help my disciples. Chapter 74, Small Supernatural Power. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Pingyan and Sun Liang have determined that the 40 disciples must have been replaced, or they have used some secret technique, and their strength has increased dramatically. In the past, Pingyan could defeat 40, but now it is difficult for one to defeat 2, and it is difficult to defeat even 1. It takes a lot of effort. Moreover, these people now seem to have some kind of strategic awareness. The 20 people in front have never thought about defeating them. They are all for the purpose of consumption. They will take risks when they come up. They are extremely ruthless and even lose their lives. No more, but now they were competing in public, and Pingyan and Sun Liang couldn't deal with them harshly. It would be too ugly, so they were tied up in the fight and consumed a lot of money. Now in the 9th group, the 2 of them had only 30% of their spiritual power left. They looked at each other and prepared to take out weapons from their storage bags. Li Qingyun took away the weapons of the 2 of them yesterday and cast some spell to make their weapons, which were originally high-grade magic weapons, reach the level of magic weapons, and they were also 3rd-grade human magic weapons. The 3rd level of the human level is already the highest limit level for the weapons that the 2 chi practitioners, Pingyan and Sun Liang, can use. Even so, it consumes a lot of money for the 2 of them. Therefore, Li Qingyun told the 2 of them that they should use this weapon sparingly until critical moments. Now they have reached the 9th group, with 18 people, the 2 of them have no choice but to use weapons. In this case, if they can't hold on to all 40 people, they will definitely lose. Light beads of sweat appeared on Ping An's face. He glanced at Sun Liang and found that Sun Liang looked calm, as if everything was under control, and he felt a little more settled. At this time, Sun Liang's calm voice came, take out your weapon and try to defeat the enemy with one move. If it doesn't work, you don't have to avoid them, you can kill them directly. Ah. Okay. Pingyan was surprised at first, but then agreed. The 2 gritted their teeth and prepared to kill. At this moment, their brains suddenly became clear, and Qingyun Ju started running automatically. Many things that were originally incomprehensible were instantly clarified. The spiritual power runs through quickly. The 2 people's spiritual power realm actually reached the level of releasing their spiritual power in an instant. And the speed of spiritual power operation and recovery has increased nearly 10 times. This kind of spiritual power recovery speed is enough for the 2 of them to maintain the same battle consumption and recovery speed without using secret techniques. It's not over yet. While their spiritual power is breaking through, their control of blue stone and eclipse wave is also rapidly improving. Their originally jerky skills are now becoming more and more proficient. Both of them felt that they were about to break through in these two secret techniques, and would soon achieve the first level of success. The two looked at each other and saw shock in each other's eyes. Sun Liang was the first to react and said, "It should be Master's method, coupled with the epiphany under crisis. Let's take action to deal with them first." He. Pingyan chuckled, showing two small tiger teeth. "Okay, I have wanted to let go and deal with them severely." Pingyan and Sun Liang, who were originally worried that they would not be able to deal with the more than 20 people later due to the speed of their spiritual power recovery, could finally let go and fight, feeling extremely happy. "Ah!" Pingyan Jianqing shouted, and a burst of cyan spiritual power flew out, directly blasting away the two soul-catching disciples standing on the ring. Boom! As Pingyan showed his power, the audience cheered, and the cries of Pingyan could not be heard. Pingyan looked at the audience, his face turned red, he scratched his head and smiled sheepishly. This made the female audience in the audience go crazy. Situ, Quan and others sitting in the first row felt at the moment Pingyan and Sun Liang broke through. A breakthrough before the battle? Feiyu said with a smile, "These two brats are very interesting." Huang Quanzi also stroked his beard and nodded, "It's better to let the spiritual power go out. It seems that Li Qingyun is just lucky and has indeed recruited two good disciples." Situ Quan said solemnly, "It doesn't matter. Even if we make a breakthrough, it won't change anything." Feiyu said, "Old man Situ, that's not necessarily the case. Your soul captor sect will have a bad reputation by then. TSK, 2 against 40, much better than I was back then." While several people were talking, the 10th group came on stage, but Sun Liang sprayed red flames off the stage. With one move, the two of them were knocked off the stage by Sun Liang before they even took a breath. Feiyu's eyes widened. "Is this a small magical power?" Huang Quanzi held a tuft of beard that he had pulled off in his hand and nodded dully, while Situ Quan was shocked. A trace of greed flashed in his eyes. Dihua Mansion is a small place, and it is difficult to find high-level skills. At that time, they were the top figures in the small place, and of course they knew that high-level skills were also divided into levels. The spells carried by Huang-level skills are generally called secret skills. Most of them will master one or two of this level of spells after they have practiced to nascent soul. However, higher-level spells, such as Xian-level skills, they had only heard of the techniques they brought in the prosperous places where immortals were cultivated. Even monks in the heavenly realm might not be able to master a few techniques of this level. This kind of magic is called small magical power. The disciple now in the ring has used the technique to exert such power during the Qi training period. It is absolutely true that it is a technique at the level of minor supernatural powers. How could Situ Quan not be greedy and his mouth dry? Not only Situ Quan, but also Feiyu, a man with an unclear mind, was looking at the ring with a longing look on his face, not knowing what he was planning in his heart. On the contrary, Huang Quanzi had no greed in his heart, because he knew that he was already a prisoner of Situ Quan at this time. The reason why he didn't kill him was because he still had value and he could no longer be greedy for things that he couldn't get. He stared at Sun Liang intently. Could it be that something unexpected had happened? Situ Quan took out a bead with strange patterns and secretly urged his power. At the same time, the disciples of the soul-snatching sect who were waiting to go on stage under the ring had their eyes reduced again, and almost no rationality could be seen, but at the same time, their aura surged again. Almost all of them had reached the level of Qi training. At the same time, in Dihua sect, at least 7 Jindan cultivators, 3 Yuanying, and dozens of foundation-building cultivators followed. Behind them, descended into Dihua sect in Dihua city, stepped on the dome of the Dihua sect's main hall, and looked down at the Dihua sect cultivators standing below. An old man standing under the hall looked at a familiar figure above the hall and said sadly, "Elder Wu. I didn't expect, you are actually a spy of the soul-snatching sect." The Elder Wu looked serious and said righteously, Feiyu, that waste, has long become a fool. Following him, the Dihua sect will only decline. I can develop better by following Situ Quan of the soul-snatching sect. Elderly, don't resist. All the communication tokens between you and Feiyu are in my hands. and the mountain protection formation token is also in my hands. You are the only one Yuanying now, but we have 3 on our side, surrender. Elder Li said sadly, traitor. Have you forgotten how the old sect master treated you? Ha, the old sect master is dead, and the new sect master is a fool, don't blame me for being ruthless and ungrateful. This scene, if Li Qingyun were here, he would definitely find that the performance and words of this elder Wu were almost exactly the same as the words of Situ Quan who betrayed Qingshan Sect back then, but no matter what the traitors were like, what Situ Quan was like, what elder Wu was like, the Qingshan Sect back then collapsed and was ruined, the Dihua Sect today is also ruined. Chapter 75, There is a Fraud. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Quanzi sensed it carefully and found that the fluctuations in Dihua Sect's spiritual power lasted for just a moment and then stopped. He lamented in his heart, it seemed that Dihua Sect also had soul-catching spies, and in a short period of time, Dihua Sect was captured. From this point of view, Situ Quan's plan is really going to succeed, and Dihua Mansion is going to become the domain of the soul-capturing sect family. But the strange thing is that Feiyu didn't feel such clear spiritual power fluctuations. Or are you watching the competition with great interest? Situ Quan felt the spiritual power fluctuation in the distance, and a smile appeared on his lips. Apparently he had received the signal that Dihua Sect had been captured, but he was not in a hurry to take action, but seemed to be waiting for something. Quanzi wondered, what was he waiting for? He followed Situ Quan's gaze and looked towards the ring. Could it be that, after the competition, he planned to use the momentum of the soul-calling sect to defeat the Qingshan Sect, and with the help of this magic circle spread all over Dihua Mansion, he would take the opportunity to announce that he would take over Dihua Mansion. All sects. No matter how the soul-capturing sect wins, the winner has the right to speak. Situ Quan can always describe the soul-capturing sect as very lofty, which is not difficult to convince the audience. Although Situ Quan believed that these were Huang Quanzi's plots, Huang Quanzi already understood that these projection arrays and the propaganda methods to deal with soul-catching were all created by Li Qingyun. Situ Quan thought that Li Qingyun was just a gun for him and a waste that he used. But Huang Quanzi understood at this time that if these things were done by Li Qingyun, then Su Taihe must also be in Li Qingyun's hands. Then, Li Qingyun is not only not a waste, but also an opponent who is as terrifying as Situ Quan. Situ Quan thought Li Qingyun was a gun and wanted to break it, but Li Qingyun would definitely not be willing to be broken like this, and he might even stab Situ Quan twice. In this way, although Situ Quan has defeated them, there is still a hidden enemy Li Qingyun. Huang Quanzi didn't believe that Li Qingyun had the strength to deal with Situ Quan, but when he looked at Sun Liang and Pingyan in the ring, he felt a faint expectation in his heart. Unexpectedly, Li Qingyun's master and apprentice were really Situ Quan's variables. Situ Quan wanted to make a wedding dress for himself with all the arrangements that Li Qingyun had painstakingly prepared. How could Li Qingyun agree? Huang Quanzi felt a little gloating in his heart. He was very curious about how embarrassed Situ Quan would be caused by these masters and disciples. The soul-captivating sect disciples who came on stage were getting stronger and stronger. Pingyan and Sun Liang were sure that these disciples, who seemed to have the strength to practice qi, even had the strength to cross levels and fight against the Foundation establishment monks. But now they were like hungry wolves, attacking with every move. Be ruthless and fight with them. They are forced to use secret techniques frequently, but currently they only use Eclipse Wave. Every time they use Eclipse Wave, the audience will cheer, because when Eclipse Wave is used, it will be radiant, and it will be a huge flame, which is very beautiful. It is estimated that the monks watching the competition in the 5 cities already know that the Qingshan Sect has a fire-breathing technique, which is extremely powerful, but I don't know if they will be tempted. Now they have reached the 19th group, 38 people. But this group of people who came up really exuded the fluctuations of Foundation establishment monks. They were genuine Foundation establishment monks. This is the inner disciple you tied up in the spiritual pagoda at that time. At that time, their cultivation was at the 12th level of qi training. Sun Liang said. Pingyan covered his face and said helplessly, really, I just built the foundation without knowing what happened. The overall combat power of the Foundation building monks has increased, and the eclipse waves may not be able to hit all of them, causing effective damage. What should we do? Senior brother, Sun Liang said, what can we do? Knock out their teeth. Great! Pinyin cheered, rushed forward, and shouted. Let you see our Qingshan Sect's secret method of suppressing the sect, Qingyun Ju, Qingshan. That a huge hand appeared out of thin air, and Pinyin, who was in the realm of spiritual power release, could already summon the giant hand. The giant hand held the two of them. Sun Liang took advantage of the situation and released Eclipse Wave, seriously injuring the two of them with one blow, and killed them instantly again. After Ping An's exaggerated introduction of Qingyun Ju, the two of them killed the enemy in one go, which was a huge reversal from the previous situation where the two of them conserved their spiritual energy and fought hard, igniting the emotions of the audience again. However, Sun Liang felt that Ping An's exaggerated introduction was a bit ostentatious, and he had some bad premonitions in his heart. Situ Quan's originally relaxed fist suddenly clenched, and he used two small magical powers. He vaguely remembered that Li Qingyun used these two techniques when fighting his incarnation, but their power was far from the level of the small magical powers. He thought just a slightly stronger secret method. But today these two disciples used genuine minor magical powers. It seemed that Li Qingyun couldn't even learn minor magical powers, and he could only exert the power of the secret level. It seemed that the title of waste was perfect for him. According to his experience, it must be explained that Li Qingyun has not mastered it. After all, no matter what he thought, he never thought that the skill could be upgraded. Situ Quan thought, it seems that the lives of these 40 disciples can only be sacrificed. The strange bead in his hand exerted force again. The 40 disciples were originally standing under the stage with dull eyes, but now a black energy gushed out from their bodies, and their eyes were full of fear. The next moment, all the 38 disciples who had been on stage tilted their heads and fell to the ground. The 38 black energy on their bodies, with an evil aura and bloody aura, flew to the remaining two people. The aura of the two men soared to the middle stage of Foundation building in an instant, while the other 38 people fell to the ground, not even breathing. The lives of 38 people were exchanged for the rapid increase of the cultivation of the remaining two, and the eyes of these two people were no longer dull, nor were they rational in their original human consciousness. Instead, they became evil, vicious, and unruly, eyes that did not belong to this world. The two walked onto the stage and looked at Pinyin and Sun Liang with interest. At the same time, Li Qingyun looked at Yang Haiaoxue, who had just returned from outside, and his mouth was dry. She stood in front of Li Qingyun, holding a door in her hand. Li Qingyun swallowed his saliva and said, "Did you poke Situ Quan's nest?" Yang Haiaoxue said nothing, picked up the tea that Li Qingyun had placed on the side, and drank it directly without changing the cup. After drinking, he sat cross-legged on the ground and began to recover his spiritual power. The shape of the door is basically the same as what Su Tai had described to me. It seems that this door is indeed Situ Quan's, the door to the underworld. But after saying this, Li Qingyun suddenly grabbed Yang Haiaoxue and dodged to the side. Looking at the door vigilantly, he said solemnly, "Situ Quan didn't put such an important thing in the storage space, but left it in the old nest for you to steal. There may be a trick." Chapter 76 Feiyu's Counterattack. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It's fine, Yang Haiaoxue said, this door is made of special material and cannot be stored in the storage space. Situ Quan has no way to carry it with him, so he didn't take it with him. Can't it be stored in the storage space? Li Qingyun looked at Yang Haiaoxue and asked doubtfully, then how did you get it? Yang Haiao rolled his eyes at Li Qingyun and said a few words, I carried it here. Li Qingyun looked at Yang Haiaoxue, who was wearing a red dress, had a slim figure and outstanding temperament, and was amazed. He couldn't imagine what it would be like for such a beautiful woman to walk all the way from the Soul Captor Sect to Dihua City carrying a door. Look again. Yang Haiaoxue glared. Li Qingyun looked away and said angrily, don't look, don't look, don't look. Yang Haiaoxue said, this door is hidden in Situ Quan's residence. It is very secret. I only discovered it after Xiong Jinmu showed me the way. Li Qingyun nodded. Xiong Jinmu seemed to be ready to completely betray the Soul Captor sect and seek refuge with him. This door is indeed Situ Quan's secret weapon. I didn't expect you to snatch it away directly. At this point, Li Qingyun raised the corners of his mouth and couldn't help feeling proud. I don't know what Situ Quan's expression was like when he learned that his lair was bombed and all the doors were stolen. Yang Hai Aoshua smiled and said, no matter what his expression is, next time he sees you, he will definitely kill you directly. Li Qingyun said, just in time, next time we meet, I will kill him too. Yang Hai Aoshua was suddenly stunned for a moment and said, fake elixir. Have you achieved a breakthrough? Li Qingyun said, fake elixir, after this matter is settled, we will go to form the elixir. Yang Hai Aoshua seemed to want to say something, but finally sighed, forget it, I will discuss it with you when this matter is over. Okay, let's study this door first, as soon as possible, and then go to the two children as soon as possible. Pinyin wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and looked at the pair of soul-capturing sect disciples in front of him. One of them he knew was named Lu Benwei. He was originally an inner disciple of the soul-capturing sect in the Shuangliu City Spirit Pagoda. When he went to kidnap 30 disciples in the Spirit Pagoda, he said a lot to him. Pinyin had a deep impression on him. However, this person now seems to not know Pinyin at all, and his eyes are very strange. Moreover, this person originally only had the strength of the 12th level of Qi training, but now he has reached the middle stage of foundation building. Sun Liang and Pinyin, facing the two mid-stage foundation building combat forces, were retreating steadily. They could not even barely defend themselves and were almost crushed. But these two people had a playful look on their faces. They wanted to kill Sun Liang and Sun Liang little by little, only hurting them a little each time, and never seriously hurting them, just like a cat catching a mouse. Never eat them in one bite, but tease them slowly, to make Sun Liang and Pinyin look embarrassed during the battle. The audience in the audience watched the originally relaxed Pinyin being severely bullied by the two. They no longer cared about whether it was a competition or anything else, and their personal emotions broke out. Do you two still have any humanity left, beating you to death? How dare you kill such a cute child? Peace. Give up quickly, don't get beaten. Some people even shouted to Huang Quanzi, Senior Huang Quanzi, please take action to save Pinyin. Didn't you once say that for the sake of Pinyin, you would make enemies of Soul Captor Sect Situ Quan and Su Taiha? Huang Quanzi's face twitched, I have become a prisoner of Situ Quan's order, what are you yelling about? Sure, Feiyu still had a weird smile on his face. Hee, it seems that your Soul Captor sect is going to win. But these two boys are so tormenting, and their methods are quite similar to yours. Situ Quan smiled and said, winning is inevitable, there are just some twists and turns, but it is all expected. At this time, a jade slip on his body suddenly lit up, as if there was some message coming from it. What? Situ Quan's face suddenly changed, with a look of disbelief and unacceptable. The surge of spiritual power caused by the emotional fluctuations even made the audience dozens of feet around lose their center of gravity and stagger. He took out the bead with a strange pattern, pinched it in his hand, and activated it, causing the bead to emit a burst of bright light. At the same time, in the secret room, a penetrating cry came from the door in Li Qingyun's hand, making Li Qingyun's scalp numb. Along with the shouting, the door trembled frequently and seemed to be opening. What should I do if something crawls out of here? I go. Li Qingyun yelled and blocked the door. He actually blocked the door. Situ Quan tried a lot, but when he saw that it had no effect, he stopped with a look of doubt on his face. At this time, he suddenly discovered that Feiyu, who was watching the competition honestly, turned around and looked at him with a terrifying look, and the aura on his body was rising steadily, and a powerful thought locked him, that is, murderous intent. Feiyu. Situ Quan asked in a deep voice, you actually broke away from the shackles of the ghost species. The weirdness on Feiyu's face disappeared, revealing a pale but clean complexion. It turns out this thing is called a ghost species. Huang Quanzi's heart stirred up huge waves, and sure enough, there was a reason for Feiyu's sudden change of temperament. It was Situ Quan who used something called ghost seed on him. Thinking of this, his scalp went numb. Something could actually change the temperament of a great monk in the nascent soul stage, and even make him looked down upon, causing everyone to desert him. He. Shi Feiyu stared at Situ Quan with resentment. Situ Quan. Do you know why I pretended not to know when you attacked my Dihua sect? Originally, as the new leader of Dihua sect, I was full of vigor and vitality. I was already a late-stage nascent soul cultivator before I was 100 years old. I wanted to quickly break through the heavenly man and make Dihua sect a 5-star sect, and lead our Dihua prefecture to return to the 9 palaces. But what? You were still in Qingshan Sect at that time, right? You said you wanted to treat me to a drink. I think you are a person worth making friends with, so I drank. I didn't expect. Since that day, I have become an unconscious idiot, Shi Feiyu laughed miserably, and the laughter touched Huang Quanzi's heart. It was just as Shi Feiyu said, how vigorous he was 10 years ago, but now, everything is ruined, and Dihua sect is gone. Shi Feiyu's face was grim, and he said, I just watched you sneak attack the Dihua sect, the sect my master left me, and I didn't do anything. Because, I know you are testing me. I know you, although you always appear to have loopholes on the outside, but in fact every move is purposeful, and you are extremely cautious in your heart. I only have one chance to kill you. Boom! Shi Feiyu's cultivation exploded, and his cultivation was no longer the late Yuanying period 10 years ago, but Yuanying great perfection. Even if we perish together, I will end it with you. Situ Quan laughed loudly. Do you think you can deal with me after temporarily getting rid of the shackles of the ghost species? Naive. At this moment, a voice came from behind Situ Quan. Then, what about me? Chapter 77. Is it over? You are listening at novelfull.audio. It was not Huang Quanzi's voice. This voice came from behind Situ Quan, and along with the voice, Situ Quan felt the spiritual power fluctuation of this person, late nascent soul stage. A burly man with a long face walked straight to Situ Quan. Didn't expect it was me. Zhang Xiao. Situ Quan changed his previous relaxed demeanor and looked solemn. You too, are you sure you want to be my enemy? Situ Quan said in a deep voice. No. A voice came from Situ Quan's side, it's the 3 of us. Situ Quan turned around with a gloomy face and looked at Huang Quanzi. Huang Quanzi spread his hands. What are you looking at? You destroyed my sect, do you still expect me to help you deal with them? The 4 people's powerful spiritual power fluctuations and the tense atmosphere did not attract the attention of the audience. Instead, some spectators shouted, those 4 blind men in front, sit down quickly, you are blocking me from watching the game. There are only a few people who dare to yell at 4 nascent soul cultivators. But this does not mean that other spectators will not do so, because most people are looking at the projection array and did not pay attention to the movements of the 4 people in the front row. The audience did not notice, but Sun Lianchen, who was directing the overall situation, noticed that these nascent soul uncles were actually going to fight. In addition to being shocked, he also felt a little funny. For nascent souls fighting, no matter where it was, it would cause a shock if it was told, but now, hundreds of thousands of spectators turned a blind eye to them, and instead stared at the competition between the 2 Qi training cultivators and the 2 foundation building cultivators. In the competition on the ring, Ping'an spit out a large mouthful of blood, but he took out his giant axe despite being injured and injured the opponent's Lu Benwei, and Sun Liang was also seriously injured at this time, but he was still struggling to resist. Bang! 4 streams of light flew up and rushed into the sky. There were too many mortals here, and it was the property of Tianji Pavilion, so it was not a place for fighting. The 4 people rushed into the sky, obviously wanting to settle this feud in mid-air. 3-1, Situ Quan was surrounded in the middle, but at this time he didn't seem as panicked as before, and his expression was even a little relaxed. I originally wanted to defeat you 1 by 1 and take you under my command, but I didn't expect that today I would have to fight 3 of you alone. Before he finished speaking, Shi Feiyu's attack went directly to Situ Quan. Stop talking nonsense, today it's either you or me. Huang Quanzi and Zhang Zhao's attacks followed, and the first move was to attack Situ Quan's weaknesses and vital points. Obviously, the few of them knew each other very well, and there was no need to test at all. The battle started directly from the fierceness. The competition on the ring below started in the afternoon, and 20 groups of competitions had been held. Several hours had passed, and the sky was already dark. There were a few dark red clouds floating in the sky, and the sunset glow on the horizon was extremely red. The battle of the Yuanying stage in the sky, rumbling sounds were heard from time to time. The audience below looked at the sky, listened to the sound, and wondered why the thunder was so strange today. Situ Quan is worthy of being a cultivator who has touched the threshold of the heavenly man realm. At this time, he still did not lose the siege of 3 Yuanying stage cultivators, and he could resolve the powerful attacks of the 3 every time. Feiyu was very anxious when he saw that he could not break through Situ Quan's defense line. He only got rid of the restrictions of the ghost species temporarily. If he could not quickly solve Situ Quan, then when the ghost species suppression time was up, his mind would fall into chaos again, and the consequences would be disastrous. That he suddenly let out a shrill roar, with a painful look on his face, and then he went straight to Situ Quan and launched an attack that overdrew his vitality. In the duel between masters, changes always happen in an instant. Situ Quan didn't expect Feiyu to suddenly attack in this way. He was caught off guard and missed a huge flaw. Zhang Xiao took advantage of the situation and swung a punch, hitting Situ Quan on the back of his neck, knocking him from the sky to the ground. Boom! Situ Quan smashed a deep pit on the ground, and lay in the deep pit with blood all over his body, looking like he was dying. Huang Quanzi landed from mid-air and saw Situ Quan's appearance. Was Situ Quan, who was so confident before, going to die? It ended so easily. Li Qingyun came here with Yang Hai Aoshue when the 4-person battle began, secretly watching the battle. Now seeing Situ Quan being smashed into the deep pit, he was also very surprised. At such a high distance, Situ Quan had not made any spiritual power to protect his body. With his physical body, he should be dead. Even if he didn't die, he was seriously injured. If he faced the other 3 people again, he should not have any power to fight back. Just as Li Qingyun breathed a sigh of relief and was about to think about how to get along with Huang Quanzi in the future, suddenly, a strange bead appeared in Situ Quan's hand. Li Qingyun recognized this bead. It was the ghost spirit bead. Kill him quickly. Feiyu roared. Because of his huge consumption, his speed was slow at this time, and he fell behind Huang Quanzi and Zhang Xiao. At this time, he felt that Situ Quan was not dead yet, so he roared at the 2 of them, wanting them to kill Situ Quan as soon as possible, but it was too late. The ghost spirit bead in Situ Quan's hand emitted a strange power, rushing straight towards Li Qingyun, or to be precise, it was heading straight for the door in Li Qingyun's hand. That door jumped out of Li Qingyun's hand, flew towards Situ Quan, and enlarged in the air above Situ Quan, and then opened the door. Stop it! Huang Quanzi and Zhang Zhao's attacks hit the door like a storm, but the spiritual power fell on the door, like a drop in the ocean, unable to stir up a wave. Feiyu overdrew his life again and punched the door, but, before he touched the door, he was bounced back by the door. The door was completely open. The door was green, as if connected to another world. That world was dark and evil, but it was tempting, making everyone present feel a yearning in their hearts. A faint murmur sounded inside the door, making a few people's eyes flash with a trace of confusion. Situ Quan was dying, and he took out 8 bottles of pills from the storage ring, placed them on the ground, and took out a bottle from it and poured it on the ground. Li Qingyun recognized it. It was the Xuanhuan pill. Afterwards, Situ Quan took out the ghost spirit pearl and placed it in front of the Xuanhuan pill. The murmur inside the door suddenly expanded, and then a green arm stretched out from it and directly grabbed the Xuanhuan pill and the ghost spirit pearl. Then, there was a sound of chewing pills from inside the door. The sound was like a child eating candy, but everyone felt cold sweat on their backs. Crunch, crunch, crunch. After the pills were eaten, there was a satisfied hum from inside the door, and then a green light came out from inside the door, covering Situ Quan. Situ Quan flew up and floated in the green light. The wounds on his body recovered rapidly under the green light at a speed visible to the naked eye, and the fluctuation of his spiritual power was also increasing. Chapter 78 Crazy Ideas. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It's over, Feiyu laughed sadly. Situ Quan's spiritual power fluctuations had already exceeded the threshold of heaven and human beings just touched before, and now the spiritual power fluctuations have already crossed the threshold of heaven and humans, half a step to the realm of heaven and humanity. Huang Quanzi also showed a wry smile. Even though Situ Quan had touched the threshold of heaven and humanity before, he was still a nascent soul monk in the end, only a little more powerful. Now, half a step into the realm of heaven and humanity, it has entered the realm of heaven and humanity. The power possessed by monks in the heavenly realm is definitely not something that monks in the nascent soul stage can compete with, even 3, 5, or even more. At this time, Zhang Xiao, who had been silent all this time, suddenly said, "It seems that Situ Quan really relied on this thing to make rapid progress in recent years. With his speed in the human realm, even if we run now, we will be dead. Why don't you stay here and have another fight with Situ Quan in the heavenly realm to see the true power of the heavenly realm?" "That's fine." Huang Quanzi looked at Zhang Xiao, "Junior brother, it's been a long time since we fought together." "Okay." Zhang Xiao's voice trembled. "Senior brother, Li Qingyun had long heard that Huang Quanzi, the Xuanhuan sect, and Zhang Xiaoyao, the Xiaoyao sect, had a grudge decades ago. The brothers who were once as close as brothers turned against each other. Now they are facing life and death." In an instant, the two brothers exchanged words with each other. In the affectionate title of senior fellow apprentice, all grudges are lost. The green light that enveloped Situ Quan gradually dissipated, and his breakthrough was completed. "Originally, I planned to use this power to directly break through to the heavenly realm, but I had to use it in advance. It's all because of you, who ruined my good deeds." Situ Quan's gloomy voice echoed in several people's ears. Li Qingyun's whole body tensed up, and Situ Quan found himself. "I was too trusting. I thought I would have no problem dealing with the three of you. I dragged the reinforcements over and killed you all in one fell swoop. What a pity. I didn't expect Feiyu to be so difficult to deal with after getting rid of the ghost species." As soon as he finished speaking, Situ Quan appeared behind Feiyu and punched Feiyu in the back. Although Feiyu used spiritual energy to protect his body at the critical moment, he was still severely injured by Situ Quan, and his body bent into a strange shape. The bow formed and spurted out a mouthful of blood. Huang Quanzi and Zhang Xiaofei came to the rescue, but when they attacked, they couldn't touch Situ Quan's phantom, so they were knocked to the ground by Situ Quan's one move. Li Qingyun looked at the scene of Situ Quan beating three people, his throat rolled, and he swallowed a mouthful of water. The realm of heaven and man was so terrifying. He subconsciously reached behind him and took Yang Haiaoshue's hand, preparing to escape in the chaos. The three of Huang Quanzi were knocked down one after another, but they kept standing up to fight with Situ Quan. The fluctuations of spiritual power in their bodies were getting weaker and weaker. If this continued, these three people would be killed by Huang Quanzi in a short time. The most important thing is that after the death of these three people, he will also fall into the hands of Situ Quan, and so will Yang Haiaoshue. After that, Pingyan and Sun Liang will also be taken away by Situ Quan, and his sect will be destroyed. Got it. This situation is never allowed. Li Qingyun's eyes were red and he was staring at the situation on the battlefield. He now had fake elixir spiritual power and subtle spiritual power. He had the top magic weapon used during the Liang Ho Golden Elixir period, and he had swordsmanship at the level of minor magical powers. As long as he found the right time, he would definitely win. Being able to hurt Situ Quan, but, can it really hurt him? Suddenly, Li Qingyun saw the door left on the ground, as well as the 7 bottles of pills left on the ground that were used by Situ Quan. A crazy idea suddenly came to my mind. This idea was like a fire in his heart, burning stronger and stronger, even overpowering the original plan to attack Situ Quan, because the plan to sneak attack Situ Quan is basically a plan to commit suicide. Originally, there was still a chance for Situ Quan in the nascent soul stage to have such a plan. Now that Situ Quan has reached the heavenly realm, this plan is simply a plan to commit suicide. Situ Quan once again beat Zhang Xiao and Huang Quanzi, who were rushing forward together, with a mouthful of blood. He had just broken through and his power was not fully grasped. Although he could crush these three people, if he wanted to kill them, these three experienced warriors, the nascent soul cultivator really had to work hard. Li Qingyun thought to himself, forget it, if you don't fight, this sect leader will definitely die here. It would be a shame to die together with that old man Huang Quanzi. He picked up Yang Hai Aoshue, jumped into the deep pit that Situ Quan had originally smashed, quickly picked up the 7 bottles of pills, and took out the 2 ghost spirit beads from the storage space. Are you crazy? Yang Hai Aoshue said in silence when he saw Li Qingyun taking out these things. Yes, he. Li Qingyun crushed all 7 bottles of elixirs, took out 63 10,000 soul pills, and then took out the 9 10,000 soul pills he took from Shintubo from his storage space. 72 in total. This time, the door soared directly into the sky and enveloped Li Qingyun. Seeing Li Qingyun's actions, Situ Quan sneered, the door to the underworld is actually so easy to open. Are you so anxious to use it as bait? Yang Hai Aoshue pulled Li Qingyun, stop quickly, I have a scroll of the great teleportation formation drawn by a top formation master. I can take you out of here. Don't do anything stupid. He, it's already too late. Li Qingyun said, can you arrange a magic circle that can be teleported and guided? Yang Hai Aoshue was stunned for a moment and said, it's the great movement formation. Okay. Give me this scroll and stand aside. If things go wrong, you can run away. Yang Hai Aoshue made no move. Li Qingyun said, if you lend it to me, I will return it to you later. Do you have any other means of escape? Yang Hai Aoshue bit her lower lip, took out a purple scroll from her arms, and said, here you go. Li Qingyun took the scroll and poured spiritual power into it. Buzz. In a moment, a space spiritual energy fluctuation that was enough to be felt by the entire Dihua city appeared in Li Qingyun's hand. Situ Quan and the 4 people who were originally in a group did not care about the battle. They all stared at Li Qingyun with wide eyes. This wave. What kind of formation is this? Situ Quan's eyes were full of fear. He had been promoted to the realm of heaven, but he just felt a power that made him fear and even tremble in the fluctuation of spiritual power. He felt that he was in front of that power. Even a tiny ant, Li Qingyun felt the power of this formation and knew that this was Yang Hai Aoshue's best product. He immediately cursed, such a good formation can't just use this low-level elixir. System, give me the inscription. Give me all 72 inscriptions. Behind him, Yang Hai Aoshue's hands were already sweating. Contrary to what Li Qingyun thought, this great teleportation scroll was her most precious thing and her last means to save her life. Without this scroll, she would have lost her life. Therefore, when she said to Li Qingyun, she was actually saying the same thing they had said before. I leave my life to you. Chapter 79 Summoning. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Li Qingyun only knew that Su Taihe told him that in theory, any magic circle that could be guided and had teleportation properties could open this door, but he really didn't know that Yang Hai Aoshue's top-notch teleportation magic circle had no effect. With such a powerful formation, I don't know what will happen if it acts on this door. But at this time, he couldn't care anymore. He frantically took out the 10,000 soul pills and used the system's inscription ability to inscribe upwards. He wanted to use the top configuration to open this door to the underworld. Situ Quan can use 9 10,000 soul pills plus 1 ghost spirit bead to break through from the nascent soul to a half-step heavenly being. Then, he can use 72 10,000 soul pills, 10,000 soul pills with 6 inscriptions. Plus 2 ghost spirit beads with 6 inscriptions. I don't know what I will get in exchange for it, at least I can get Situ Quan's life, that's enough. The light of the inscriptions in Li Qingyun's hand did not stop at all, and each inscription on the elixir appeared in an instant. 10, 20, 30, all 62 10,000 soul pills have been inscribed. Yang Hai Aoshue stood behind Li Qingyun, dumbfounded. This method of inscribing more than 60 pills in a moment was still a 6-path inscription. Even among the super-inscription sects she knew, and have never heard of it, a ghost spirit bead had already been engraved in Lianghao's cave, and now it was the second one, the ghost spirit bead that Shintubo had obtained during the trial. Outside the area covered by the gate of the underworld, Situ Quan saw Li Qingyun not only releasing a huge magic circle, but also taking out 2 ghost spirit beads. An extremely dangerous premonition rose from his back. Isn't this the method of constructing the formation known only to Su Taihe? Why does Li Qingyun also build a formation, and it is more powerful than Su Taihe's formation? Could it be that Su Taihe is not in the hands of Huang Quanzi, but in the hands of Li Qingyun? Situ Quan stared at Huang Quanzi with wide eyes. Could it be true that he said he didn't know where Su Taihe was? Huang Quanzi, do you really not know the whereabouts of Su Taihe? Situ Quan asked. Huang Quanzi was covered in blood and cursed. $UN #, I've said it 10,000 times, I don't know. Situ Quan gritted his teeth. Did this bastard plan everything? Zhang Xiao used his secret technique and hit Situ Quan with a bang, and then Feiyu also entangled Situ Quan without saying a word. They didn't know what Li Qingyun's purpose was, but seeing how nervous Situ Quan was now, they knew that Situ Quan was afraid of this. In this case, they had to choose to help Li Qingyun. The ghost spirit bead in Li Qingyun's hand is slightly slower than the 10,000 soul pill, but it has also been inscribed with 5 inscriptions at this time and is in the process of inscribing the 6th inscription. At this time, Li Qingyun has entered the critical moment of inscribing the 6 paths. The last time he was in the cave of Liang Ho, when he was inscribing the 6 paths, he entered a strange illusion. In that illusion, he saw countless terrifying scenes, but after the fantasy ended, he forgot the content of that fantasy. Now, once again inscribing the 6 paths on the ghost spirit pearl, he decided that he must see the content of this illusion. Sure enough, 6 inscriptions appeared, and along with a ghostly chanting sound, Li Qingyun's consciousness entered a space again. At the same time, the door opened with a bang. The green world inside the door was no longer bright red, and a noisy sound came from inside the door. This sound was different from the sound Situ Quan made when he opened the door. At that time, the sound inside the door was irregular and emotionless, like the sound of wild animals, but now it seemed to have become the muttering of a person, as if he was trying to persuade himself. But Li Qingyun's eyes quickly regained clarity after a hint of confusion, but he still couldn't remember the content of the illusion. But he stopped nagging and followed what Su Taihe said, placing the ghost spirit pearl at the core of the formation, and the 72 10,000 soul pills were distributed regularly according to the position of the stars. When the 72 elixirs were accurately located at the position of the stars, the entire great movement array roared, and the power in the 72 elixirs began to gather into the 2 ghost spirit beads. There was a crazy scream from inside the door, and there was endless longing in the scream. For some reason, Li Qingyun felt that this voice was a bit like the desire and anxiety of a child when he wants to eat delicious food, but there was clearly it's a very scary thing. How could I have such an illusion? Finally, there was a snort inside the door, as if he had made up his mind. Then, there was a sound like banging on the door. Dong, 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 dong. Along with the banging sound, the door began to vibrate, and a protrusion punched out by the fist appeared on the bright red film on the door. But that fist was about the size of 4 or 5 human heads. With this kind of strength, what kind of monster was this that I summoned? Li Qingyun broke into a cold sweat, but Situ Quan went crazy the moment he saw the door change from green to bright red. This is a heaven-level ghost. Huang Quanzi and the others had exhausted their spiritual energy and fell to the ground covered in blood. They could no longer stop Situ Quan. Situ Quan frantically rushed towards the barrier extended by the door, wanting to break the barrier, kill Li Qingyun, and take back the benefits that should have belonged to him. Actually summoned a heaven-level high-grade ghost, which is the most precious reward in this gate to the underworld, but Li Qingyun is this bastard. He actually looked regretful. Ah! Situ Quan roared. Even if he attacked with all his strength, the barrier of the gate to the underworld could not be damaged at all. I am so angry. Finally, the thing in the door finally broke the red film inside the door and stretched out a green giant hand. The giant hand stretched out and touched everywhere, testing the width of the door, and then stretched out another hand. With both hands, the film inside the door was completely torn open, revealing a huge body. At this time, the system sent a message that made Li Qingyun collapse. Li Qingyun looked at the huge body that slowly emerged from the huge door, wiped the sweat on his forehead, and swallowed hard. Damn, are you kidding me? Ding, an 8-star genius was found, please accept it. Chapter 80, Situ Quan's Collapse. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When Li Qingyun arranged the formation, the door had been enlarged several times and became 3 or 4 feet high. The door was originally covered with a red spiritual film, but now it was torn open by the 2 hands inside. The monster inside tested it, and first extended half of its head. However, seeing that the door was a bit narrow, it lowered its head and muttered, and then retracted. After a moment, there was a wave of movement inside the door, and then, an arm much smaller than before came out holding the door frame. He actually shrunk his body a little just now. I saw that thing looked similar to a human being, with 2 hands, 2 feet, and 1 head, but its skin was a little green, and its body was strong. Its 2 big eyes stared straight at Li Qingyun, dragging a body of 3 to 4 meters staggered over. Li Qingyun calmed down and thought that this thing is not as ferocious as he thought. Although the skin is green, the color is still well proportioned. Even if it shrinks a bit, the head is still big. Even if the shoulders are wide enough, the head looks still like being clamped on the shoulder. Before the barrier dissipated, Situ Quan saw the thing coming out of the door and shouted from the side, "Ancestor! Ancestor! I am a descendant of your soul-capturing sect. That person is the enemy of our soul-capturing sect. Don't be fooled by him. This gate to the underworld is the heirloom treasure of the soul-capturing sect." But it was not until Situ Quan came into contact with the soul-capturing sect more than 10 years ago that he really had a way to open the door to the underworld. It was not until a few years ago that Situ Quan actually betrayed Qingshan Zone. When he came to capture the soul, the gate to the underworld was completely under the control of Situ Quan. The gate to the underworld is connected to the real land of the netherworld, and the one who gave this door to the soul capture sect is a super ghost that the soul capture sect has enshrined for hundreds of years. This ghost is in the highest level red door of the underworld. The ghost that appears now is the super ghost that has been enshrined by the soul-taking sect for hundreds of years. He was called the Ancestor by Situ Quan. Whether it was the ghost seed on Feiyu or the ghost seeds on the 2 disciples who were fighting with Ping'an and Sun Liang at this time, they were all given by this powerful ghost. Situ Quan was both afraid and curious about this ghost. This was his biggest secret in recent years. The huge ghost walked out of the door, first glanced at Situ Quan outside the barrier, and then walked in the direction of Li Qingyun. "Ancestor! I'm here." "That's our enemy," Situ Quan kept calling, but the ghost ignored him and kept staring at Li Qingyun, the super formation at Li Qingyun's feet, and the formation. The 2 ghost spirit beads in the magic that are filled with the power of the 10,000 soul pills. Li Qingyun protected Yang Hai Aoshue behind him, emboldened himself, picked up the 2 ghost spirit beads from the ground, and held them in his arms. Boom! The huge ghost stopped suddenly and stared at Li Qingyun with 2 huge eyes. Li Qingyun said, "Do you want this thing?" The ghost was stunned for a moment, stretched out his hand to touch his bald head, and said in a stuttering voice, "Yes, yes, but, can you give it to me?" Suddenly, there was a sound of huge footsteps again from the door. This time the footsteps sounded like a group of people, running here in a hurry. The green, bald giant looked panicked, then gritted his teeth, turned around, and kicked out, hitting the door of the underworld. Boom! The door that Li Qingyun had no choice but to break into pieces with this kick was like broken metal. After kicking the door into pieces, the bald man turned around in embarrassment, looked at Li Qingyun, and said, "I'm so sorry that I kicked your door into pieces again." Situ Quan almost went crazy and shouted, "Ancestor! That's my door. How can you get back if you break it by kicking it in?" The bald man looked at Li Qingyun's figure, scratched his head in embarrassment again, shrunk his body, and finally shrunk to 2 meters in size, standing in front of Li Qingyun. "The door is broken and I can't go back. Can I stay at your house in the future?" Baldhead asked uncomfortably. Situ Quan cried, "Ancestor! Come home with me." He began to attack the barrier crazily. ancestor. Don't be deceived by him. He is our enemy. You should follow me. That the bald man seemed to be afraid that Li Qingyun would disagree, so he added, just take care of the food. Li Qingyun said in embarrassment, but our Qingshan Sect has a rule. The bald man touched his soft belly and asked with a hint of coquettishness, what are the rules? That is, only taking care of the disciples of the sect master. Li Qingyun said tentatively. The bald head hesitated for a moment and asked, then who is your sect master? It's me. Li Qingyun pointed at himself. Then do I want to be your disciple? Bald head asked. That's probably what it means. Li Qingyun was a little unsure, and even felt that he was crazy. Although this bald man looked naive, he did get something out of that terrifying door, and he was also caught by Situ Quan. He shouted like an ancestor crazily. He used such low-level tricks. He clearly didn't regard the devil as a villain, but directly treated him as a fool. Thinking of this, Li Qingyun's whole body tensed up, and he was so nervous that he was sweating all over. If he said such stupid words, what if this guy just opened his mouth and ate him? Profound. Unexpectedly, the bald man responded, touched his belly sheepishly again, and said, okay, then you have to let me eat enough. I eat a lot. Li Qingyun. It turned out to be. Situ Quan felt that the whole world had collapsed. The ancestor he had worshipped for hundreds of years, the soul-destroying sect's background, Situ Quan's biggest secret for so many years, could be found in less than a few sentences, became Li Qingyun's disciple. Situ Quan's eyes widened, his eye sockets trembled slightly, and his mind went blank. No matter what, he couldn't figure out why the ancestor became Li Qingyun's disciple, so easily. A ridiculous idea popped up in his mind. When he saw Li Qingyun, what would he call Li Qingyun? He put his head in his hands. No. I can't accept it. Yang Hai Aoshue poked Li Qingyun behind him, handed him a blood contract, and said, sign a contract. This contract is valid for everyone. This person's origin is unknown, so let's just be in case. Li Qingyun hesitated for a moment, but did not take the blood contract. He turned around, raised his head, and looked at the bald head seriously. Are you sure you want to worship me as your teacher? That the bald man said, hey, I do. Li Qingyun asked, why? That the bald head muttered, I was being chased by my brother. When I was desperate, I approached the high priest for help. The high priest told me that if I had to get out of the imperial city and go all the way east, I would meet someone who could save me. Unexpectedly, I saw the appearance of this door at a space node halfway. At that time, there was an old man who was casting a spell in front of the door. I don't know what he was doing. He seemed to want to project through the door. The old man cast the spell with all his strength. I took advantage of him not paying attention and knocked him unconscious. Then I felt strong fluctuations of ghost energy on the door. The concentration was amazing and attracted me, so I decided to pass my body through the door. Come and find my lord. The bald man looked at Li Qingyun with wide eyes. I think you are the one the high priest said can save me. Li Qingyun was silent, obviously a little suspicious. The bald head continued, the main thing is that I think you have a unique temperament. I have only felt this kind of temperament in my father. So I believe that you are the one the high priest said can save me. Li Qingyun's eyes lit up. Are you praising me for being handsome? Situ Quan's eyes were dull and he murmured, ancestor, is actually, trying to please Li Qingyun?